The stars stretched endlessly, a sea of glittering lights in the darkness of space. Among the vast emptiness, a lone cargo ship, the Silver Hawk cruised silently, its engines humming steadily. Inside, Ethan Voss, a seasoned pilot with weathered hands and weary eyes, navigated through the asteroid field with precision. For years, the ship had been his home, and the solitude of the cosmos his companion. Ethan had no family left, no ties to any world. After losing his military unit in a battle he preferred not to think about, he'd chosen this life, quiet, isolated, and free from the chaos of civilization. But that quiet was about to end. "Luna, what's out there?" Ethan muttered, tapping the console of his ship's eye. His voice carried the roughness of someone used to speaking only when necessary. He'd picked up a faint signal on the ship's long-range sensors, something unusual in this part of space. The AI responded with its calm, synthetic tone. "Uncharted vessel detected. Energy signatures indicate partial power. Minimal movement. Likely derelict." Ethan frowned, staring at the display. Derelict ships were unpredictable. Sometimes they held salvageable goods, but they could also be traps laid by pirates. Still, his curiosity tugged at him. "Let's take a look," he said, adjusting the ship's course. The Silver Hawk glided closer, revealing the silhouette of the mysterious vessel against the backdrop of stars. It was small, sleek, and unlike any design Ethan had seen before. Its hull was scarred with burnt marks and breaches, evidence of a violent encounter. "Luna, any life signs?" "Faint biological readings detected," the AI replied. "Low probability of survival without immediate intervention." Ethan exhaled sharply, rubbing the back of his neck. He wasn't in the business of saving strangers, but something about the situation pulled at him. Against his better judgment, he prepped the docking bay and donned his suit. The air inside the derelict ship was stale, tinged with a metallic tan. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows in the narrow corridors. Ethan followed the faint life signs, his boots clanging softly against the metal floor. Eventually, he reached a small cabin. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. Curled up in the corner was a tiny figure, trembling. At first glance, she seemed childlike, no taller than 4 feet, with delicate features and iridescent skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Her large, luminescent eyes locked onto him, wide with terror. Ethan raised his hands, palms open. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The girl recoiled, pressing herself further into the corner. She spoke in a language he didn't understand, her voice high-pitched and trembling. Ethan's helmet translator kicked in, and her words became clear. "Please don't eat me." Ethan blinked, taken aback. "Eat you? Why would I do that?" Her eyes darted to his face, then to his hands, as if gauging his intentions. "You're human. They say humans devour everything." Ethan sighed, lowering himself to her level. "Well, you've got bad intel, kid. My name's Ethan. What's yours?" She hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. Sevenara." "All right, Sevenara," Ethan said gently. "Your ship's in bad shape. It's not safe here. How about we get you to mine?" She hesitated again, fear warring with desperation in her eyes. Finally, she gave a small nod. Back aboard the Silver Hawk Sevenara remained wary, keeping her distance as Ethan worked to stabilize her condition. She was frail, her breathing shallow, but she recovered quickly once she was away from her failing ship. Ethan offered her food, a protein bar and water, but she eyed it suspiciously. "It's not poisoned," he said, taking a bite from his own bar to prove it was safe. After a moment, she nibbled cautiously, her luminous eyes never leaving him. As she ate, Ethan noticed her gaze drifting to the various items in his cabin, tools, maps, old photographs. He decided to break the silence. "Where are you from, Seven?" Her eyes met his, filled with a mix of sadness and longing. "My home, it's gone." Ethan's expression softened. "I'm sorry. What happened?" "Raiders," she whispered. "They destroyed everything. My family, my people. I'm the only one left." Ethan felt a pang of guilt for his earlier reluctance to help. "You're safe now," he said quietly. "I promise." For the first time, Sevenara's rigid posture relaxed slightly. Over the next few days, she began to open up, sharing bits and pieces about her people, the Ilarians, a peaceful race known for their advanced technology and harmony with nature. Ethan, in turn, shared stories of his time in the military and his years as a salvager. Though their worlds were vastly different, they found common ground in their shared losses and struggles. But their fragile peace was shattered one day when the ship's AA sounded the alarm. Hostile vessel approaching, unknown configuration, weapon systems active. Ethan rushed to the cockpit, Sevenara close behind. On the view screen, a sleek black ship loomed, its design unmistakably predatory. "Raiders," Sevenara whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan clenched his jaw, his hands tightening on the controls. "Looks like they're here for you," he said grimly. Fear flickered across Sevenara's face, but Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Not on my watch." The raider ship closed in, its weapons charging. The Silver Hawk shuddered as Ethan pushed the engines to their limit, weaving through the asteroid field to evade their attackers. Sevenara gripped the edge of the console, her fear palpable. "Hold on," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "This is going to get rough." As the first volley of enemy fire streaked past them, Sevenara realized that her fate was now tied to this human, a man she once feared, but who was willing to risk everything to protect her. The stars outside blurred as the Silver Hawk plunged deeper into the asteroid field, the raiders hot on their trail. What happened next would test the fragile bond between Ethan and Sevenara in ways neither of them could have imagined. The cargo ship Silver Hawk drifted through the vast silence of uncharted space, its weathered hull reflecting the dim glow of distant stars. Inside the cockpit, Ethan Voss sat in his pilot's chair, the faint hum of the ship's systems the only sound accompanying him. His hands moved instinctively over the controls as he kept an eye on the navigation screens, the emptiness outside stretching on endlessly. Life aboard the freighter was monotonous, but Ethan had grown accustomed to the solitude. It was better than the chaos of civilization, or so he convinced himself. His past haunted him, and the quiet void of space was his refuge. "Luna," Ethan muttered, addressing the ship's eye. "Anything interesting on the sensors?" The synthetic voice replied, calm and measured, uncharted vessel detected on long-range scans. Minimal movement, partial power. Likely derelict. Ethan's brow furrowed. Derelict ships often meant one of two things, salvageable goods or trouble. Curiosity and caution waged their usual battle in his mind. Finally, he sighed and adjusted the ship's course. "Let's take a look. Prep the docking bay, just in case." As the Silver Hawk approached, the other ship came into view. It was small, sleek, and unlike anything Ethan had seen before. Its angular design hinted at alien origins, but its hull bore signs of a violent encounter, scorch marks and breaches marred its once pristine surface. Despite its condition, it was still beautiful in a strange otherworldly way. "Luna, any life signs?" Ethan asked, leaning closer to the screen. "Faint biological readings detected," Luna replied. "Low probability of survival without immediate intervention." Ethan hesitated. He wasn't in the business of playing hero, but leaving someone to die out here didn't sit right with him. Gritting his teeth, he made his decision. "Bring us in closer." "I'm going aboard." Docking with the derelict vessel was uneventful. Ethan suited up, his helmet's HUD displaying vital stats and a map of the ship as he stepped into the airlock. The derelict's interior was cramped and dimly lit, the air stale with a metallic tang that hinted at failing life support. He followed the faint life signs to a small cabin, the silence broken only by the faint hum of his suit's systems. Inside, he found her. She was small, no taller than a child, with delicate features and skin that shimmered faintly under the emergency lights. Her large, luminous eyes locked onto him, wide with fear. She was trembling, curled up in the corner, as if trying to make herself invisible. Ethan raised his hands, trying to appear non-threatening. "Hey," he said, his voice gentle. "It's okay. I'm here to help." She recoiled, pressing herself further into the corner. Her mouth moved, but the words that came out were high-pitched and incomprehensible. Ethan's translator kicked in a moment later, converting her frantic pleas into words he could understand. "Please don't eat me," she said, her voice trembling. Ethan blinked, taken aback. "Eat you?" Why would I do that? Her luminous eyes darted to his face, her fear palpable. You're human. Humans devour everything. Ethan sighed, kneeling to her level. Not this one, he said softly. My name's Ethan. What's yours? She hesitated, her gaze flickering between him and the door as if calculating her chances of escape. Finally, she whispered, Sevenera. Well, Sevenera, Ethan said, your ship's in pretty bad shape. It's not safe here. How about we get you back to mine? Sevenera didn't respond immediately, her small frame trembling as she weighed his offer. Ethan could see the conflict in her eyes, fear of him battling her desperation for survival. After what felt like an eternity, she gave a small nod, her trust tentative but real. Back aboard the Silver Hawk, Ethan worked quickly to stabilize Sevenera's condition. She was malnourished and dehydrated, her breathing shallow, but she seemed to recover quickly once she was out of the derelict ship. Ethan offered her a protein bar and water, but she eyed them suspiciously, her distrust evident. It's not poisoned, he said with a faint smile, taking a bite from his own bar to prove it was safe. After a moment, she tentatively accepted the offering, nibbling at the bar with caution. As she ate, Ethan noticed her gaze wandering around the cabin, her large eyes lingering on the various items scattered about, tools, maps, and old photographs. He followed her gaze, his expression softening. That's my family, he said, nodding toward one of the photos. Well, what's left of them? Sevenera's eyes flicked back to him, curiosity replacing some of her fear. What happened to them? She asked quietly. Ethan hesitated, his jaw tightening. Lost them a long time ago, he said finally. Raiders. They didn't leave much behind. Sevenera's expression softened, a flicker of understanding passing over her delicate features. My home was destroyed too, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Raiders came. They took everything. My family, my people, I'm the only one left. Ethan felt a pang of guilt for his earlier reluctance to help. You're safe now, he said firmly. I promise. Over the next few days, Sevenera began to open up, her fear of Ethan gradually giving way to cautious curiosity. She watched as he repaired the ship, asking questions about human technology and offering to help with simple tasks. Her intelligence was evident, and Ethan was impressed by her quick grasp of concepts that would stump most people. One evening, as Ethan worked on recalibrating the ship's sensors, Sevenera hesitated in the doorway. I can help, she said, her voice tentative. Ethan glanced at her, then stepped aside. Be my guest. To his surprise, she not only understood the system but improved its efficiency, recalibrating the power flow algorithms to optimize output. You've been holding out on me, Ethan said with a grin. You're a natural. Sevenera's cheeks flushed a faint purple, her species equivalent of a blush. I used to work with machines back home, she said. It was simpler then. Ethan's smile faded as he remembered what she'd lost. You're safe here, he said again, his voice gentle. We'll figure things out. Together. Their fragile peace was shattered one day when Luna's alarms blared, the calm voice of the AI cutting through their routine. An identified vessel approaching, weapon systems active. Ethan bolted to the cockpit, Sevenera close behind. On the view screen, a sleek black ship loomed, its predatory design unmistakable. Sevenera's face paled, her voice trembling. Raiders. Ethan's jaw tightened, his hands gripping the controls. Not on my watch, he muttered, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. Continuing the story, Ethan's fingers danced over the controls as the raider ship drew closer, its ominous bulk filling the screen. The Silver Hawk was no warship, but Ethan knew its quirks and capabilities better than anyone. Luna, run full diagnostics. Divert power to shields and engines. Diverting power, Luna responded. Hostile vessel has initiated a targeting lock. Recommend evasive maneuvers. Sevenera gripped the back of Ethan's chair, her wide eyes fixed on the screen. Can we outrun them? Not in this bucket of bolts, Ethan replied grimly. But I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. He activated the ship's countermeasures, releasing a burst of chaff and decoy signals. For a moment, the raider ship hesitated, its targeting systems thrown off. Ethan seized the opportunity, pushing the engines to their limits as the Silver Hawk banked hard, skimming dangerously close to a nearby asteroid field. Hold on, Ethan warned, gripping the controls tightly. The ship shuddered as it wove through the dense asteroid belt, debris scraping the hull. The raider vessel followed, its sleek design allowing it to navigate the obstacles with unnerving ease. Sevenera's voice was laced with panic. "They're gaining on us." Ethan clenched his jaw, his mind racing. The Silverhawk's armament was limited, designed for deterrence, not combat. Still, it had one ace in the hole. A makeshift EMP pulse he'd rigged years ago, meant for emergencies. This certainly qualified. "Luna, charge the EMP," he commanded. "Warning, EMP will disable ship systems temporarily," Luna responded. "Do you wish to proceed?" "Just do it," Ethan snapped. He turned to Sevenera. "When I say go, strap in and don't move." "Got it?" She nodded, her hands trembling as she braced herself. The raider ship closed the distance, its weapons charging. Ethan's heart pounded as he maneuvered the Silver Hawk into position, aligning the enemy ship directly behind them. "Come on, you bastards," he muttered under his breath. The raider ship fired, a plasma bolt grazing the Hawk's shields and sending a jolt through the cabin. Sparks flew from a nearby console, and Sevenera yelped, clutching the armrest of the seat. "EMP charged," Luna announced. "Now," Ethan shouted, slamming the activation switch. A pulse of energy erupted from the Silver Hawk, spreading outward in a brilliant wave. The raider ship's lights flickered, its engines sputtering as the pulse disabled its systems. The Silver Hawk wasn't spared either, its screens went dark, the hum of the engines fading into silence. For a moment, there was only stillness. Then the emergency lights flickered on, bathing the cabin in a dim red glow. Sevenera looked at Ethan, her voice trembling. "Did it work?" Ethan exhaled slowly, his hands relaxing on the controls. "For now, but we've got bigger problems." The Silver Hawk was dead in the water, drifting perilously close to the edge of the asteroid field. Without propulsion, they had no way to steer clear of the incoming debris. Ethan scrambled to reboot the ship's systems, his fingers flying over the manual overrides. "Luna, status report," he barked. "Primary systems offline. Reboot in progress. Estimated time, 3 minutes," Luna replied calmly. "We don't have 3 minutes," Ethan muttered, his gaze darting to the screen. The raider ship was still adrift, but it wouldn't be long before its systems came back online. Sevenera leaned over the console, her nimble fingers working alongside Ethan's. "Let me help. I know how to bypass power relays. My ship used a similar system." Ethan hesitated for a split second before nodding. "Do it." Together, they worked in tense silence, the only sound the occasional groan of the ship's hull as it was pelted by smaller asteroids. Sevenera's hands moved with practiced precision, her earlier fear replaced by a focused determination. Ethan couldn't help but feel a grudging admiration for her resilience. "Power restored to propulsion," Luna announced. "Engines at 30% capacity." "They'll have to do," Ethan said, gripping the controls and firing up the engines. The ship lurched forward, narrowly avoiding a collision with a massive chunk of rock. "Luna, plot an escape route. Keep us clear of the debris." "Route calculated," Luna replied, displaying a path on the screen. Ethan followed it closely, weaving through the chaotic field as Sevenera kept an eye on the sensors. "They're waking up," Sevenera warned, glancing at the raider ship on the screen. Its lights flickered back to life, and Ethan could see the glow of its weapons charging once more. "Not today," Ethan growled, pushing the Silver Hawk's engines to their limits. The ship groaned in protest, but it surged forward, breaking free of the asteroid field and into open space. The raider ship followed, its sleek form cutting through the void like a predator closing in on its prey. Ethan knew they couldn't outrun it forever. His mind raced as he considered their options, none of them good. Sevenera's voice broke through his thoughts. "There's a nebula nearby. If we can get inside, their sensors won't work as well." Ethan glanced at her, surprised. "How do you know that?" "I used to study stellar phenomena," she said quickly. "It's your best chance." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Luna, plot a course for the nebula." Course plotted, Luna confirmed. As the Silver Hawk veered toward the swirling cloud of gas and dust, Ethan could feel the tension in the air. The raiders weren't going to give up easily, and the nebula was a gamble, but it was one they had to take. "Hold on," Ethan warned as the ship plunged into the nebula, the view outside shifting to an eerie, glowing haze. The sensors flickered, their readings scrambled by the interference. Savenora leaned closer to the screen, her eyes scanning the distorted readings. "They're still following us." Ethan nodded grimly. "Let them. If they want to fight, they'll have to come into the fog." The Silver Hawk disappeared deeper into the nebula, its silhouette swallowed by the swirling mist. The raiders pursued, their predatory confidence unshaken. But as the Silver Hawk vanished from their senses, Ethan allowed himself a small, grim smile. "Let's see how well they hunt when the tables are turned," he muttered, his hand hovering over the controls. The game wasn't over yet, not by a long shot.